All right, Mike, it's time for this week's edition of the Blue Paint delivered by DoorDash. Mike wanted to start. Tyler gave you a little bit of a homework assignment here on the Blue Paint. He had you break our 16 likely playoff goaltenders and their tandems into 3 different tiers. We're calling them confident, concerned, and worried. Let's start with the teams that you are worried about with their goaltending heading into the first round. You have listed the Toronto Maple Leafs, Washington Capitals, Los Angeles Kings, and Edmonton Oilers. Let's start with the Oilers because I think a lot of people look at Mike Smith's play over the last number of weeks. They look at his playoff body of work and track record, and they say, why can't Mike Smith be exactly the goaltender that we need? Yet you're worried. Why?
I share those exact same thoughts about Mike Smith in the past month. He's been phenomenal. 2 shutouts, 949 save percentage in April, 8-0. My main concern is his health. He's missed a lot of hockey this year. He's had concerns in the past. Can he keep it going? Did he peak too early? I just, at this stage, can't say with the Oilers goaltending, I'm confident in it because I feel like they're one injury away or one bad thing from happening away from it all going south. Koskinen's had a tough April when Smith has taken over. So that's the reason why I'm worried, not as much about Smith's play, because like I say, I think he's been phenomenal. Now, Frank, when we go up and down this list, we'll look at Toronto, okay? Which Jack Campbell are you going to get? And if Jack Campbell's not healthy, boy, then things really change because you've got Eric Kallgren who, stabilized the crease, but he's really struggled lately. So I worry about them. I look at Washington, Vanacek and Samsonov. Neither of them has grabbed the crease there. Both of them sub 90 save percentage of recently, and LA Kings. I know people are going to think I'm crazy on this one, Frank. I have concerns about the mechanical nature of Jonathan Quick's game. I don't think Cal Peterson's going to be the playoff goaltender. He's really struggled lately. Quick had a great start and he's had a good finish. The middle portion of the season was terrible for Quick. And I think that his game could be exposed. There's elements that the top teams find against him that makes it easier to score. I haven't seen his game updated lately. So that's where I am in the worried column, Frank. But I'm more optimistic on some of these other teams.
Yeah, just a quick note on Jonathan Quick. He's won his last 4 straight and has given up a total of 5 goals in his last 4 appearances. He's been pretty darn good, as Cal Peterson, as you mentioned, has gotten absolutely shelled, 12 goals against in his last 2 starts. So that brings us, Mike, to the concerned category. You've got 6 teams listed in that category: the Carolina Hurricanes, Pittsburgh Penguins, Florida Panthers, Boston Bruins, St. Louis Blues, and the Dallas Stars. I think I can understand why Carolina, with the injuries that they're facing, question mark wise. Same thing with the Pittsburgh Penguins and Tristan Jarry. 2 teams sort of stand out to me here. One is the Florida Panthers, given that Sergei Bobrovsky has actually been, okay. He's found his game a little bit over these last number of weeks. And you look at Spencer Knight, and I'm like, okay, I think they could probably get by with those 2 guys. The other one is the St. Louis Blues and Ville Husso. Husso has been pretty darn good almost all season long. What gives you cause for concern? Let's start with the Blues.
So with St. Louis, my major concern is that Ville Husso, who's presumably going to be the starting goalie for the Blues when they start the Stanley Cup playoffs, even though Binnington's played pretty strong hockey lately, he doesn't have the playoff experience, and the Blues have relied heavily on goaltending this year. The Blues have scored on the rush, they've scored on power play, but they've given up a ton 5-on-5 defensively, and Husso's covered up for a lot of that. So my main question is, can he do that in playoffs against a team like Minnesota that he's shown well against this year? So is Binnington. But what happens then? It's just the inexperience factor, and that St. Louis does give up a lot of chances. So I feel good about where they are. I just need to see it proven to me. And then when we go to talk about the Florida Panthers, this gets interesting because that team is so good that I'm not sure the level that Bobrovsky and Knight have had to face in terms of facing a tough schedule, man, of adversity, of things that they had to battle through. Bob just keeps winning. And Spencer Knight, since he came back from the American League after the All-Star break, has done a nice job as well. But what happens when these games tighten up? Are they going to get the big save? Are they used to having to clamp down in the last minute or 2? I don't think as often. So again, it's more of a prove it scenario to me there. And the rest of the teams, for the reasons you named, especially for Carolina and Penguin, it's injury concerns. Boston, you've got two unproven playoff goaltenders who I like. I just need to see it. And kind of the same way with Dallas and Ottinger. His career just kind of continues to go on the upward curve. Can he steal games in playoffs should Dallas make it in?
Yeah, it's kind of impressive how many games Jake Ottinger has played, near closing in on 50 for the Dallas Stars this year. I don't know if people realize how much work he's gotten this year with the Stars. And we touched on Ville Husso. All he does is win, man. 22-4-5 record with a 920 save percentage over the last 32 games. He's been really, really good. So I'm curious to see how far Ville Husso can take the St. Louis Blues. That first round series, you're going to be covering it between the Blues and the Wild. That is going to be a titanic matchup, because I could see either one of those two teams not just giving Colorado a headache, but also going all the way to the Stanley Cup. That brings us to our last tier of goaltenders heading into the playoffs. Tandems, not so much here at this point. It's sort of one main guy, and that's the confident category. The New York Rangers, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Colorado Avalanche, Minnesota Wild, Calgary Flames, and Nashville Predators. I think if you were to take the top dog from each of those six teams, Mike, in some order, they would probably be, and maybe even starting with this order exactly at the top, at least with Igor Shesterkin and the Rangers. Pretty good idea of what your Vezina Trophy ballot might look like.
Yeah, this is a rock solid top end of the spectrum here, man. Like even with these clubs that I've included, you're looking at tandems that are pretty good. Okay. Like the only one that I might take out of that mix would be Nashville, where David Riddick hasn't been quite to the level of some of the other backups within this category for me. I mean, even with the Rangers, Georgiev hadn't had a great season. Well, he's turned it on lately. That club's had 4 shutouts in their last 11 games. Tampa, it's the Vasilevsky factor, the best money goaltender in hockey, I think. And then down the list, like Darcy Kemper hasn't gotten the respect he deserved this year. From where he started to where he is now, he's been phenomenal in the second half. Francouz has been good. Minnesota with the 1-2 punch of Talbot and Fleury, and even Vladar behind Markstrom in Calgary. As the season's gone on, the numbers of those two have started to converge. Vladar's played really good hockey in a supporting role there. So I would feel completely confident with all 6 of these teams that I've listed. And I think it's just a matter of which one of these goalies is able to steal the most games and take their team the furthest.
Interesting. This has been another edition of the Blue Paint. We're curious to see if any one of those goaltending situations, maybe certainly if you look down a little bit further, the concerned or the worried category, maybe one of them can right the ship. Maybe there's someone here with not a lot of playoff experience that can go on, I don't know, think of a Matt Murray type run from a number of years back that ended up taking his team to the promised land. This has been another edition of the Blue Paint, delivered by DoorDash. You see the promo codes there at the bottom of your screen, DFODD if you're in Canada, DFODD US if you're in the United States. That gets you 25% off and free delivery on your first order with DoorDash. We just mentioned all the playoff implications tonight. You're not getting up from your couch. You're not cooking. DoorDash has all your favorites and more delivered right to your door.